could it be? With me, your man, Louie T, here with the skill game brought to you by Sleeper. Also, it's going to double as a command post live video. So you know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. We'll get to the skill game a little bit later, make some picks for not only this game, but the Sunday night game as well. But I wanted to talk about this real quick because I meant to talk about this yesterday, and I think I glossed over it. I said I was going to come back to it, and I never did. So I do want to make this abundantly clear. The Commanders have zero chance of winning tomorrow. But if they should somehow pull the upset, they'll need a lot of things to happen. But one of the things that is going to happen, whether they win or not, is that Chris Rodriguez is going to be featured tomorrow. I don't know if you guys have picked up what DQ has been putting down all week, but I made mention of this very briefly yesterday on the Commanders Nightly News episode that they're going to run the football. When I talked about, I bypassed keys to victory because I just don't see any way there's a path to victory. Obviously, it's the NFL any given Sunday. If the Lions come in here and they're awful, they turn it over 4 times, they have 12 penalties for 112 yards. Yeah, that could help the Commanders win the game, right? And of course, the Commanders would have to then take care of the football themselves, not give it back, score touchdowns, et cetera, et cetera. But so many things would have to happen that aren't going to happen. They're going to get their brains bashed in on Sunday. However, no matter what happens, whatever the outcome is, Chris Rodriguez is going to get an opportunity to run the football on Sunday. I just want you to understand that the tea leaves are there. And DQ pretty much talked about the run game all week. He really went out of his way to talk about the run game on Friday. And then the icing on the cake for me was making CRod the offensive captain for this week's game. I know some of you absolutely abhor the idea of weekly captains, but it also highlights how they feel about a guy going into a specific game. To me, this is their way of rewarding Chris Rodriguez for what he did last week. They love Chris Rodriguez, but just because they love you doesn't mean they make you a team captain. I don't think Chris Rodriguez was a team captain at any point last season. Okay. They loved him last year. They talked about him routinely, especially DQ, routinely in his press conferences about how he's a model example of staying ready. So you ain't got to get ready. Guys that, have been up, down on a weekly basis. They even cut Chris Rodriguez at one point to make space on the roster, then brought him back, and he was always ready, and he always made the most of his opportunities when his number was called. So they already loved Chris Rodriguez. Doesn't mean you make him a team captain. They loved what he did last week. He was our leading rusher. He got the most carries. He had the most yards. He ran hard. He didn't stutter in the backfield. They talked about taking what's there in the run game. Cliff talked about that as well. They're talking about Bill. I think you're going to see a reduced role for Bill this week. That's not to say that they're giving up on Bill, but I think they're going to reward Chris Rodriguez for all that he's done and what he did last week. And they want to be able to run the football. I told you they're going to make a concerted effort. Whether it works or not is a totally different discussion, but they're going to make a concerted effort to run the football this week. And I think the guy that's going to get the bulk of those carries is Chris Rodriguez. I think now here's what you should be worried about. If you're Chris Rodriguez, for each of the last 3 weeks, and maybe even going back a little bit further, there's been one of the 3 team captains that has gotten injured. All right. You go back to the Bears game, Dorrance Armstrong was made a captain. He got hurt in that game. It led to his ultimate season-ending injury the next week. You go to the Chiefs game 2 weeks ago. Javon Kinlaw, JK, was made a team captain. He hurt himself in that game. You go to last week's game, obviously Marshawn Lattimore made a captain. He's done for the season with a torn ACL. So this is not an honor you want bestowed upon you. You have a 1 in 3 chance of getting hurt if you are made a captain for the game on the upcoming week here of late. So I wish him nothing but the best. I hope it's not him. I hope it's none of these guys for that matter. But that's just the way the injury reaper has wreaked havoc over this roster this season. If you're a team captain, you've got a bullseye squarely placed on your back to be injured in the upcoming game. And so Rodriguez is going to have an extended, I believe, role in this game where he's going to see the football. They're going to go that running back by committee, but I think he's going to lead the pack in amount of carries. It wouldn't shock me if we go all the way back to default settings. You remember week 1, well, I shouldn't say that because Austin Eckler was the starting running back week 1. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go back to pseudo default settings and make Chris Rodriguez the starting running back when the offense hits the field for the first set of plays. And remember, Rodriguez was the starter in the Raiders game. If you recall, after Eckler got hurt in week 2 versus Green Bay, the week 3 game where Mariota made his first start of the season and they went right down the field on the opening possession and scored, Rodriguez had those carries that got us down inside the 5-yard line. He was the starter of that game. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they went back to default settings and Chris Rodriguez is your starter this week. Again, Bill's going to get his opportunities and he's going to have to make the most of them and kind of get back into the good graces of the coaching staff because he was doing too much dancing in the backfield. They want somebody that's going to hit it up in there, get what's there. See, the problem with CRod is he's going to get what's there, but not much more than that. Bill can get you what's there and then some, but Bill has been struggling with getting what's there. And right now, they're not in a position offensively to be back there dancing around, hesitating, and trying to take a run that's blocked for 3 yards and turn it into a 13-yard run. That's not the type of time they're on right now. It's 2nd and 1. They need you to get in there and get the 1 yard, right? CRod's going to do that. So I think he's going to potentially be starting. It wouldn't shock me if he's not starting, but I am going to assume he's starting this game. As a team captain, they're going to give him the nod. He's going to have the most carries. And it wouldn't shock me if he touched pay dirt in this football game. I expect this to be a big CRod type of game. And if they somehow manage to pull the upset, he's going to have a huge part in the outcome of this game. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Expect a lot of Chris Rodriguez in this game, whether for the good or whether for the best for this team or not. Expect CRod to be given in heavy doses, at least early in this ball game. That is for certain. And if he turns out to be very good early, they're going to ride his hot hand, and I expect him to be the bell cow potentially in this game. And again, if they're going to win, they're going to have to shorten this game. They're going to have to win time of possession. They're going to have to grind it out on the ground. You can run against this Detroit Lions defense, but the way we've been run blocking here of late, all bets are off. But as bad as it feels and it looks, and we know the last week's game is one you kind of throw out of the window because we still ran the football over 5 yards a carry. Chris Rodriguez led the charge last week, almost rushing for 5 yards a carry. But that was a lot of that was accumulated in garbage time when Seattle had taken their foot off the gas pedal and had basically gotten to the point where they were just trying to get out of there. So I don't really know what to make of all of this, but we'll see what happens, right? But just know this, CRod, if this game somehow goes in the favor of the Commanders, he's going to have a huge say in it. And we'll look back on this game as the CRod game. We'll look back on this as the CRod game if they somehow win this game on Sunday. It's not happening, guys and gals. It's not happening. So just, rewire your brains. If some of you are still on that hopium and look, it's my product. So I pushed it into the streets. I can't be upset if some of you are still high off the hopium. I can't be upset. I pushed that product for the last 2 weeks. There's still effects from it. I am fully aware. But I can't get high off my own supply anymore. But you feel free to knock yourself out. I won't stop you. Okay? I won't stop you. Anyway, I digress. So, with that said, let's get to the skill game. So, I just told you that Chris Rodriguez is going to be a big part of this game. So, that should be reflected here in the skill game. Now, I don't know if the Sleeper app is going to abide by that because certain weeks, he's not even in the grid. He's not even in the mix. We'll see if he's in there or not. But let's get to the skill game. Brought to you by Sleeper.
The skill game brought to you by Sleeper.
All right. So Sleeper is a fantasy sports real money gaming app that focuses on bringing people together through sports and gaming. Sleeper has become the fastest organically growing fantasy platform in the world with over 10 million active users in 2025. If you're not already one of those 10 million, here's the time to become one. There's a link in the description of this video. Click that link. It'll take you to where you can download the Sleeper app, whether you've got an Android or an Apple product, does not matter. And then once you've verified that you are who you say you are, they're going to give you $20 free just for downloading the app and becoming a member of the Sleeper family. And then on top of that, you can use my promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. Again, it's the smart way to go about it. Put in 100, they'll give you an additional 100 plus the $20 they gave you for just downloading the app and being a new member. That's $220. You can do a lot of damage with $220. You don't believe me? Let's take a look at the app right now. So let's click on NFL. Very easy, user-friendly interface. Click on NFL. We're going to scroll over to the Commanders and the Lions game. Here it is. And we're going to see what they have for us. Let's look at the hot picks, the hot picks first. See if anything there catches our eye. I'm not going to go crazy in this game. I'm not going to do any overthinking of a situation. I'm just going to keep it nice and basic here, right? Things that I know are going to happen. Like Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get off in this game. To what extent? I think most of my picks are going to revolve around the Lions, to be honest with you. Let's go straight to rush yards and see if they even have Chris Rodriguez in here. They may not. So they do have Chris Rodriguez. I can tell you right now, Chris Rodriguez is rushing for more than 23.5 yards. Let's see if there's something more that we can get than 1.64, maybe attempts. See what Chris Rodriguez's attempts are. And if that's a more juicy number, we'll just take that because he's going to get the football in this game. I guarantee. Even if it's a blowout, just like last week, he had the most rush attempts. He's going to get the football in this game. So let's see. The easier. So see what they got. 6.5 rush attempts for Chris Rodriguez. We're going to pound the more on that one. So that's an easy take right there. He's getting the football more than 7 times in this game. I guarantee, as long as he doesn't get, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. That's going to happen. Now, Bill can't count on him getting 10 carries in this game. So we're going to leave him alone there. But there's our Chris Rodriguez number. And if they allow us to, we'll go to Chris Rodriguez's longest rush attempt and see if they give us a layup there. I don't know if they'll let us combine the two. They may take that off the table for us. As a matter of fact, let's go look and see right now if they took that off the table for him. They didn't. His longest rush is 9.5 yards. I can see Chris Rodriguez with an 11-yard run in this game. So I'm going to double down on my Chris Rodriguez nonsense. I'm going to take him for a 10-yard run in this game. All right. Marcus Mariota, longest rush, 13 yards. I don't know how he doesn't have a run over 13 yards, but let's just see what else the rest of the ticket looks like before we start making declarations like that. Let's see how many rushes they have Mariota, because Mariota is going to be a heavy part of the run game as well. Let's see where they have him rush attempts wise. Oh, he's not listed. Smart on their part, because I think Mariota is going to rush at least 9, maybe 10 times in this game. Let's see where they have Mariota for rush yards. And then I think everything else is going to probably be all Detroit Lions centric. 24.5 rush yards for Mariota. Honestly, I want to take that. The 1.64 doesn't get me excited as a multiplier, right? I don't want to say it's too risky to take, because it's hard for me to envision Mariota not having 25 yards rushing in this game based off of how he's going to be utilized. However, it's not a necessity if they're only giving me 1.64 of a multiplier. I feel like I could, use that somewhere else and not have the risk attached to it in case the Lions are all over him as a runner. He's not making smart decisions. He keeps one for a rush of -5 and it hurts you, like he did that against Kansas City. So, I don't think he made it to the rush yards in that game because he had a couple of negative rush yards attempts. So I think I'm just going to leave that alone. But let's go to real quick rush and pass yards combined. Mariota at 234.5. No, I'm not going to do it just because I don't trust him. That means the pass yards is probably 210. And I don't know if Mariota's had a 210-yard passing game in any of his starts this season. So he's always hovering around that 200 mark, right? Like 190 something. Maybe he creeps over 200, but it's never a definitive 230 for Mariota passing. I'm not messing around with that. So now let's go heavy on the Detroit Lions. Pass yards for Jared Goff. He doesn't really kill it in the pass yards department, which is crazy because you look at some of the numbers they put up some weeks and you're like, I know Jared Goff killed it, and he really didn't. He really didn't. Jahmyr Gibbs on rush yards. This feels, I feel like I could take both of these running backs on the over on their on the more on their rush yards. I feel like the easier of the two would probably be Montgomery. He's just sitting there at 48.5 or 47.5. He's going to have more than 48 rush yards. He's more of the in between the tackles runner, which leads me to believe that there's a chance we could slow him down. Whereas with Gibbs, he's going to get to the perimeter. He's going to get to the edge. He's going to be the guy that, hurts us the most. Let's look at all of his numbers because we're definitely taking Jahmyr Gibbs for something in this game. He's going to score a touchdown. I know he didn't score last week. I don't think he scored last week. He's going to score this week, though. Yeah, he didn't score last week. He's definitely scoring. I don't love the you know what I do love, though? Him scoring the first touchdown of the game. I do love that. But what if the Commanders somehow get the ball first and they score? Highly unlikely. This is why I hate stuff like first touchdown of the game. It's so volatile, right? But if the Lions get the ball first, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be the guy that scores the first touchdown, him or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Or it could be Sam Laporta. Anybody could score against this defense. I'm not going to do it because that could, as good of a multiplier as it is, it could also tank the entire ticket, and that's unnecessary. I'm just going to take him for an anytime touchdown. He's definitely going to score. I feel like I could take him for 2 touchdowns in this game at any time, really, just to boost up the multiplier, but I'm not going to do that. Because I said, I'm not going to do anything crazy on this ticket. I'm actually going to try to win. I'm not going with crazy, this guy's going to score a touchdown. This guy's going to score a touchdown. I'm not even doing that for the Commanders. I'm not doing any touchdowns for them. Because I don't even know how many times we're going to score. And I don't know who's going to do the scoring. If we do score, probably going to be Chris Rodriguez. But I'm not going down that path, right? So we've got him on an anytime. We can still combine that anytime with some yards receiving, yards rushing. I don't love the multiplier on the yards rushing and receiving combined. His longest rush is at 18.5. We got to take some of that action, right? Definitely punching the clock on that. So we're going to take more on the 18.5-yard rush. He's going to have a rush over 20 yards in this game. You can book that right now. Okay, I think we're good with him, with what we've just done. We've gotten our Jahmyr Gibbs fix. Let's go to the receptions. I like to live there. I really feel like we could live in this anytime touchdown department because Amon-Ra feels like he's going to score. Sam Laporta's probably going to score in this game. Wouldn't shock me if Jameson Williams and or David Montgomery score. They're going to score 40 in this game. So I feel like I could punch all of these guys. But again, that would be making this ticket reckless, and that's not what I'm looking to do, right? I'm not looking to hit this one for $800. I'm cool with this ticket being $300 because I want to walk away with something. You know what I mean? I feel like I can do that with this game. Kind of feel like I know how it's going to go. So let's go to receptions. Amon-Ra for 8 catches. That's too many catches. Even though it's very possible that he has 10 catches in this game. 8 is too many. It's too many for me. Laporta with 5. I wish it was 4. I feel like he can catch 5 passes against us. We don't cover tight ends. They're going to run some boots. We don't cover boots very well. Let's go ahead and punch Sam Laporta for the more on the 4.5 receptions. I don't really love anyone else's receptions here. We're not going to force him to check it down to the back, out of the backfield. Everything that he wants, he's going to get in the pass game. So I'll take Laporta on Let's see what he's done here. I feel like this is still too many. He had 6 last week against Minnesota, but against Tampa, he only had 3. We're not Tampa's defense. He had 5 against Kansas City, 5. So I could easily see him only having 4 this week. I'm going to leave him at 5 for now, and I may come back and change it to 4. I may pull it down to 4 just to make me feel a lot better about it. He's getting 4 catches. I don't know if he gets the 5th catch or not. While we're here, let's just look at Washington's. I'm not doing Zach Ertz anymore. Like, he's just he had the catches last week, so I'm not upset. Actually, I think he's had him the last 2 weeks. Matter of fact, here it is right here. So he's had the catches the last 2 weeks. I had him for 4 against Kansas City because I didn't take him for the catches in Kansas City because Marcus was in the lineup, and I was like, Terry's back. But I did take him last week against Seattle because Jaden was back in the lineup. He didn't get the catches against Dallas when I thought he would, but I'm not touching Zach Ertz in this game. I did tell you I think this is going to be a big Debo game. I'll go look at his yards receiving and rushing combined and see if that makes any sense for me. That might be something that tickles my my fancy, but Jalen Lane, not touching him with a 10-foot pole, and Chris Moore 2 catches. I don't know if Chris Moore's had a catch in the last like 3 weeks, so you know I'm not putting Chris Moore on my ticket, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so will Marcus Mariota throw a pick in this game? The number isn't high enough for me to risk it, so no reason to do that. Let's see. Let's go to rush and receiving. They don't even have Debo here. Montgomery is a guy that they do throw the ball to out of the backfield. I could see him having a couple catches here. Longest completion. Goff feels like he's going to have a completion over 36 yards against this defense. I'll come back to that one. I'll put a pin in that one. Longest reception. Let's shop in this market because they're going to have some big catches against us. We give up explosive like nobody else in the league. Jameson Williams, we can't cover speed, so that one feels like it's inevitable. Amon-Ra, he's iffy. Like, I feel like he could get us for an assortment of 17 to 20 yarders. Not sure if he gets the 23 yarder, but of course he starts roaming through, zone coverage. We don't attach ourselves to anyone in zone. I can see him running through at 15, catching it with no one around with tons of space, and then gets another 15 after the catch for a gain of 40. That could happen very easily. Gibbs, they could throw him a screen. They could throw him a little flare out of the backfield, isolate Bobby Wagner one-on-one. That's easy money. That could happen. Montgomery almost feels like a done deal, so to speak. That 8-yard reception. Again, assuming they throw it to him out of the backfield. Let's look at how many catches he's had over the last. So they've thrown to him at least 2 times each of the last 3 weeks. So it's too risky of a proposition. Don't need to do it. I think I'm going to take both of these dudes, Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra, to go over their numbers. Like, I can't see us not giving up explosive plays to these 2 guys. 1 each. Williams might be a 60-yard touchdown over the top where there's nobody around. And then Amon-Ra is going to be something in zone coverage where he's just running free, catches it, there's no one around him, and he gets up the field for an additional, 15 to 20 yards after the catch. That's what that one feels like. So I think I'm going to hit both of these guys to go over those receptions. We just give up too many big plays for me not to do that. I think I feel good about what we've done. And then longest completion, I don't know if they're going to let me combine Jared Goff with that. I just don't see how Jared Goff's longest completion in this game isn't 36 yards or more. With the way we give up big completions. Like there's just no way, right? So they didn't give me anything on that, so there's no reason to add that. So I think I'm good right here. Let's see. Got CRod, rush attempts, CRod, longest yards, rush yards, or longest rush of the game. Amara, longest catch. Jameson Williams, longest catch. Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs, any longest rush. Sam Laporta, receiving yards. I feel like that's a winner chicken dinner. I don't feel like there's anything crazy or reckless here. I only have one touchdown, which usually is what gets me. Guys don't score touchdowns. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs is scoring a touchdown. As a matter of fact, just for shits and giggles, if I move this up to 2 touchdowns, it'll be 3.11. See what that does. Yeah, it doesn't do enough. It's not risk. It's not enough worth the risk. So yeah, everything here checks. Everything here looks good to me. Let's go ahead and knock this one out. So that one's in the bank. Now we got the Sunday night game. While we're here, let's go for a 2-for-1 special. So we click on Pittsburgh and the Chargers on Sunday night. Let's just put a quick ticket together for this game. Start with the hot picks. The hot picks. Justin Herbert's rush yards. I think he's going to have to take off and run against this Steelers defense in this particular game because they're going to get after him. He's not going to be able to sit back there and, have all day. He's going to have to take off and run. So I'll take him on the rush yards. The Steelers have had trouble with tight ends all season. Rondé Gadsden has really emerged as a big-time target for them. I'm looking at his receptions. He's had at least five each of the last 4 games, but it's probably safer to just take the yards. They've struggled defending tight ends, so I'll take him on the yards. Let's see. Let me make sure that their running back isn't back this week. Okay, so Kamani Vidal is still the leader in the clubhouse here because I feel like he's going to be able to have some success in this game. Not enough for me to take him on the yards, but I do think he can score a touchdown in this game. So I'm going to take Kamani Vidal to touch pay dirt. And now we got to get some Steelers things going here, which I hate betting anything Steelers. They're so wishy-washy every single week. My goodness. You just don't know what you're going to. One week, Aaron Rodgers is checking the ball down to his running backs 50 million times. The next week, they get no love. You try to go with the field goal kicking game, then they don't kick any field goals. Now they want to be aggressive all of a sudden. You don't know what to expect out of these guys. See, anytime touchdowns. See if we can get a Jalen Warren anytime touchdown. So both of the backs score in this game. Let's go to receptions. DK, wow, 4 receptions. That's pretty low, even though he hasn't had a great season catching the football. It's pretty low. Feel like this is the week to buy that low mark for him. Calvin Austin, they're trying to get him more involved in the screen game underneath, things of that nature. He's had a little bit more opportunities each of the last 2 weeks. Each of the last 3 weeks rather. He's seen his target share go up. 2 catches against Minnesota 3 weeks ago, 4 catches the week after that, and then 5 last week against Indy. So I could see him, getting these 2.5 receptions rather easily. Pat Freiermuth, that's a good multiplier there, but he's barely getting over 3 catches. Like I said, you just don't know it's so hard with this Steelers offense. You just don't know what you're going to get. Like Kenneth Gainwell early in the season, you could book him for 2.5 receptions. Then he went on this drought. I was picking him every week. He goes on this drought. Then last week, he's over 2.5 receptions. You just don't know, right? Roman Wilson, he started to get busy. As you can see, I picked him last week for the 1.5. He just needed 2 catches. He had 1 catch, And he fumbled that one catch. So I don't know if they're going to go back to him or not. Steelers are just funky. They really are. But I do think I like DK for the receptions here. So I think I'll take DK. And let's see. Longest reception. QJ feels like he's going to get a big reception in this game. So I'll take him on the longest reception. And longest rush, I don't think I'm going to touch anybody in this game for longest rush. I think I'm going to leave that category alone. Sacks. Nothing here really tickles the fancy. Nothing here appeals to me. Thule is interesting. I could see Thule getting a sack because Rodgers loves to hold on to the damn ball. And I like the multiplier on a Thule to Lopu sack. Let's see what I got. Do I love this? If I take the Thule sack off, it drops me what, to 300 or something? Yeah. Rodgers is going to get sacked in this game. It's just a matter of who's going to do it. I think it's going to be Thule. I think Thule's going to sack him. Do I need the QJ reception? I think it's going to happen, so I don't need to take it off. Got the Herbert rush yards. I like everything that's here. I like everything that's here, so we'll just roll with that. Herbert, at least 23 rush yards. QJ with a 20-yard catch. Thule with the sack. Kamani Vidal touches pay dirt. Same can be said for Jalen Warren of the Steelers. DK Metcalf, 3.5 receptions, so at least 4 catches in this game. He struggled in that department. I think he's due for a game where he finally has 4 or 5 catches. Hasn't done that in a couple of weeks. And then Arondé Gaston has just been a monster for the Chargers. And I expect that to continue. The Steelers have had issues with tight ends this season. And I think that trend continues here against the Chargers. Give me Arondé Gaston for 54 yards or more receiving in this game. I like the ticket. Let's make sure that I'm not missing out on any boosters. Here's a boost right here. And I feel like I should have used that on the Commanders game. I'm not using that boost for this. That's a waste of a good, perfectly good boost. Not doing that. But I'll just take my little $739 that I could win and apply it here. Let's see, make sure there wasn't an NFL in it. I'm pretty sure the last one was soccer. Yeah. All right. We're good. We're good here. All right. So there we are. We've made our picks. If you haven't already done so, use the promo code LTN to get you 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. You won't be sorry. Trust me. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this stream. That, my friends, is the Skill Game, brought to you by Sleeper.
The Skill Game, brought to you by Sleeper.
All right, so that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. I got a couple of supers, so let me get to those before we get out of here. Shadow Striker, $7.89. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Shadow Striker writes, just saw Maryland QB Malik Washington keep a read option and run it for 73 yards to the house on the second play of the game. JD, you watching? It's a lot easier for that to happen in college than it is in the NFL, right? So you can't, look at what they're doing in college because it's such a prevalent play and the athletes aren't as great in college. However, JD does need a lesson. He doesn't need to watch college. He's got a read option, a zone read master, a guy with a PhD in zone read diagnosis right next to him. in Marcus Mariota. If he needs help, he needn't look no further than his teammate right in that quarterback room. Marcus is excellent at the zone read, proficient, speaks that language very fluently. If Jaden needs any lessons, Marcus is his man right there. Tony P56, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P writes, the curse of the Super Bowl era unis. Still want old name? Question mark. I don't know if there's a curse or not. I know people are running with that narrative after what happened on Sunday night. I think they're clean. I would love to see them, be in the rotation in terms of a throwback that they wear every year. I would love to see them. I don't think that this is a curse or anything of that sort. But at the end of the day, people are gonna look. When this is why I told you I hate being in this space. I hate it here. This is the worst place to be because everything is overanalyzed, right? Hell, you got me over here talking about team captains getting hurt, right? Like, this is where we are. This is our new existence. I hate it here. Someone come and get me out of this damn alternate universe. This dimension stinks, okay? Like, we're overanalyzing everything. Everything. Nothing's out of bounds. Nothing's off limits. We're criticizing draft picks. We're criticizing free agent acquisitions, guys that are being put into positions they have no business being, put in, but because of the circumstances, this is where they are. And it's not fair to the player because that's not why they were brought here, but that's the situation, right? Everything is up for debate. And so the Super Bowl era unis have just been drugged into this nonsense. If we would have went out and beat Seattle, we wouldn't be having this conversation about the Super Bowl era unis. But we got our brains bashed in. We looked horrible, and Jaden got hurt. Marshawn Lattimore got hurt, right? And I think I'm forgetting, it was 3 guys that got injured in the game. I think there was one more guy that got injured. But whatever the case may be, all these injuries happened. We got destroyed, and so it's the jersey's fault. Oh, my God, these eras, burn them. Get rid of them. It has absolutely zero to do with the fact that we stink. We stink. It's not the uniforms. We could have went out there butt naked. Then you still want the skin on your back? It doesn't matter. We suck. That's the problem. It's not the uniforms. We could have been wearing the all blacks. A lot of you love the battle blacks. We don't put those on again. You wouldn't have said that. The Bears beat us by a gajillion with Justin Fields in those black uniforms. I didn't hear anybody screaming, don't put those on anymore. They stink. They just looked at the team and said they stink. They looked at Eric Bieniemy and said he stinks. You should be doing the same thing now, not blaming the uniforms. We stink. We were garbage long before those uniforms got put on. Anyway, I digress. We're not going to wear them this week. Watch what happens. Okay? We didn't have those on when we lost to Dallas 44-16. Didn't hear anybody saying, burn the burgundy on burgundies. Bet you don't want to wear those again. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the Command Post Live. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. And the skill game, brought to you by Sleeper. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Whatever TV programming you're indulging in, have at it. And we will reconvene tomorrow. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, you know where to find me. I'll be right here talking about this team because we don't run from the smoke, man. Good or bad, we don't run from the smoke. We run towards it. Unfortunately, this smoke is thick enough to choke you and potentially give you the C word. But yet, we forge forward. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you tomorrow. Come hell or high water, I will see you tomorrow. We already know. It's both tomorrow. It's both. the tsunami type of water, and it's going to be hot. The Lions aren't going to be playing with us at all. And we are not lion tamers. We're lunch. That's what we'll be tomorrow for the Lions. Lunch/dinner. But we'll be here. You guys have a good one. Take care.